Pardon?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. Welcome to our third installment of River Cruise Experience. And this time, can you mute? Sherrie, mute, please. Thank you. This is our third installment on the River Cruise Experience, and we want to share with you today the favorite experience in the river cruising field that we ever had. Sherrie may want to tell you more about it, so I'm going to leave that for her. But our guest speaker today is Kathy Brock with AMA Waterways. AMA is one of our preferred suppliers. You may be aware that we have preferred suppliers and platinum preferred suppliers, and AMA Waterways is a platinum preferred supplier simply because of the quality of product that they provide and the value that they have in their offerings. We've known Kathy longer than I can remember and have always had pleasant experiences every time we listen to her advice on what we should do. It's always been good advice, and we're happy for it. And I'm going to go mute now if Sherrie, you want to share a little bit about the topic today.
Hi, everybody. We're just glad to have you here today. As Charlie said, I'm Sherrie Funk. This is my husband, Charlie, and we own Just Cruisin Plus. We're located in Brentwood, Tennessee, and we have become river cruise specialists. Our agents have, Charlie and I have. We've all done training with multiple river cruise lines, but especially with AMA Waterways. And Charlie and I were very, very honored to be able to cruise with Kathy a couple of years ago, and did get to experience one of the Christmas markets, the very last stop that we made in Budapest. And it was enough that we ended up doing a Rhine River cruise last year and did Christmas markets with it. We haven't had as much experience as Kathy. You said, I think this is your seventh?
I have done seven.
She's done seven. And so she knows the Christmas markets inside out. It's probably one of the most magical things that we've ever done. Absolutely love every minute of it. And I'm going to turn this over to Kathy and mute myself and just let her talk to you.
Super. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, we're going to call it Christmas in September, or maybe we could call it tomorrow, Christmas in October. But at any rate, I want to share with you some information about AMA Waterways, because there are some wonderful river cruise companies out there. There are differences. They have their own personalities and service levels and that sort of thing. And I've had the pleasure of being with AMA Waterways for 15 years. I was actually the very first rep they ever hired, and it has been quite a ride. My very first sailing was a New Year's Eve sailing, the New Year's Eve of 2005 going into 2006, and I have never looked back. There were a few market stalls still open, so I got a sampling so that the next year when I went back and did the Christmas markets, I am an admitted addict. I will do the Christmas markets every single year if they'll let me. And I still hold out hope for this year. If I breathe, I hope. All I want y'all to do tonight is take the word beyond, put it into your head, and think about, what do you want to do when we get beyond this? Because you know we're going to get there. We don't know when, but we're going to get there. So we want to think beyond in terms of future. And how about, even more important with this time we're in, who do you want to go with? Because we've realized the value of friends and family in this experience. So number one, think about where you want to go when we get beyond this. And number two, think who you want to go with. And I have to tell you, Christmas markets is just fabulous, multi-generation, but we'll get to that. Always have to start with the rivers, because everybody's heard of a Rhine River, everybody's heard of a Danube River, but do you really know where one is and where the other one is? Where does one go? Where does the other one go? Well, the rivers actually start up emptying into the North Sea here, and the rivers, because of this Main-Danube Canal, are connected. Here's the Rhine up here, goes Amsterdam to Basel, Switzerland. Here's the Danube River down here at the bottom of the canal, all the way down to the Black Sea. And actually, these rivers pass through 15 different countries. We don't have a cruise that long. It would be really, really long. Typically, your river cruises are 7 to 14 days, your choice. The main thing to understand about the rivers is that these were the original highways. This is literally where civilization grew up. If it had rained for 5 days back in the time of the Middle Ages, that wagon or that carriage probably wasn't going to go from one place to another, but you could always travel on the rivers. So the banks of the rivers is where civilization grew up, starting with little Celtic settlements, which grew to villages, which grew to towns, which grew to cities. That's why when we're sailing these rivers and we stop in a port, we're typically right in the middle of everything and do walking tours straight off the ship. We also do bicycle tours. We have 25 multi-geared bicycles on board. We do hiking tours and we do culinary tours. We do an average between 4 and 6 excursions in every single port. So like if Sherrie and Charlie decided to go back and do the Rhine another time, they could do totally different experiences. And you can't go on the Danube too many times, but that's just my addiction talking. So you got to look over in France too. We had a wonderful webinar today on the rivers in France, the Seine or the Seine, going out to Normandy or even out to Mont Saint-Michel. The Rhone and the Saône rivers, which is Burgundy and Provence. Think lavender, think sunflowers, think all of Vincent van Gogh's paintings. In a little estuary coming off the Atlantic Ocean is the area called Bordeaux. And Bordeaux is wine, wine, and more wine. But there's plenty of excursions for other non-wine-focused folks. And then down here, a river going from Portugal into a bit of Spain. The Douro River is also one of the rivers in Europe that we travel. So getting a feel for where the rivers are, where they go, and what has given birth to river cruising really nails it down. Speaking of nailing it down, here's the quote you go by. Oceans will take you to countries, but only rivers will take you through them. You know, that big ship's going to come into that port and you're going to get off the ship and you're going to do this lovely excursion, 4 or 5 hours. Then you're going to get back on the ship and sail away. Have you really experienced the culture, the cuisine, the atmosphere of that country? So a river cruise is going through the countries. This is one of my favorite little towns on the Danube called Dürnstein. It has that blue Baroque tower, those red tile roofs, and there's one of our lovely river cruise ships. Now, if you're wondering about what's the difference, because it says cruise, okay? What do you think about when you think about cruise? Probably you're thinking the big ocean ships with anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 people. That's one of our ships, which has a total capacity of 156 people. So again, in the time that we're in, if you have concerns about being with very large groups, that will not be an issue when you join a river cruise. In our case, it's 156 guests on board. We do have a hike up to this castle ruin up here. We always tell you how difficult a hike or a bike ride is. They're absolutely fabulous. We're unique in the industry in that we're a small family-owned company. We're 18 years old as of July 1st. These are the 3 families that started AMA Waterways 18 years ago. We started with the name of Amadeus Waterways, but in the travel industry, there's a computer system with the name Amadeus. So we were naming ships Amallegro, Amacello, Amadagio, and Ama is the Latin derivation of the word love. Amo, amas, amore. So that's why we became AMA Waterways. Rudy is an architect trained in Vienna, designs the ships and itineraries. He was first president of that line you've heard of called Viking River Cruises. Now, you haven't seen us on television. and you won't see us on television, and we won't appear in your mailbox because our product is only provided through travel professionals like Sherrie and Charlie. You will not find us mass market. You will not see us on the shelf at Costco. That's not the way AMA presents itself. Christine came from Dresden, Germany, Rudy from Austria, Vienna, and Jimmy Murphy, Gary's dad, came from Dublin, Ireland. Now, the reason I emphasize this is because these three families were immigrant families. So they really had the mentality of when you bought something, when you built something, you paid for it. So I can tell you right now, every single one of the AMA Waterways ships are paid for. There is no debt on any of our ships. Rudy says, I can sleep at night because all of our ships are debt-free. Now, again, in the situation we're in, there may be circumstances where people are concerned about how well a company can weather this experience. And that is not a concern with AMA Waterways. We only have 19 ships and we're 18 years old. There are folks out there that have 75 ships. So it's a difference. There's also a difference in how many people are put on a ship. Ours are 156. Some folks are 192. The ships are the same size. Just an FYI there. Now, coming out of this, we will have all kinds of hygiene and safety requirements. It's going to be in place for the guests, for the crew, for the hotel service staff. Now, food is not going to be that big an issue for us because we've never been a company that did a lot of buffets. Our meals are served. Breakfast is served, and there's champagne in case you want a mimosa to go with your Eggs Benedict. Lunch is served, and dinners are 5-course served dinners. We serve both the regional cuisine and the standard American cuisine, and we can accommodate any dietary need with the exception of kosher. We got vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, all of those are covered. So this is what people are talking about doing as they come out of this experience. We've taken that a step further. On July 5th, we launched one of our ships, the beautiful AMA Christina, named for our owner, Christine, on the Rhine River. We have been sailing ever since July 5th. We were scheduled through October, and the company that we're working with in Germany came back and said, oh no, we want to go through the end of the year. We want to go through New Year's Eve. So we are currently sold out on those sailings on the Rhine River with European guests. Now the Americans can't get there yet, but the ships are waiting on the rivers. The captain and the first engineer is on every vessel. Rudy has said we can be back in operation sailing within 3 days. So, like I say, I'm not giving up on those Christmas markets or that New Year's Eve cruise. Now, we've already put all of this into place. Now, a lot of the lines are getting ready to do this. They're talking about the protocols. They're planning the protocols. So we've already done it. You do wear face coverings as you move around the vessel. Once you're seated in the lounge, in the dining areas, or up on that top deck with the open air, there's no face covering required. We've got the temperature checks every single morning for every single person going on and off the ship. We're sanitizing the luggage. And the most important thing that nobody has ever paid attention to before is the fact that Rudy's ships do not circulate air. Every stateroom and every public area has fresh air coming in constantly. So some folks are going to have to retool hotels, cruise ships, whatever, to avoid that recirculated air, and Rudy has us a step ahead. So I do have a picture of this lovely cabin stewardess with a mask on, but I love it without the mask. And I have to show you one picture that shows you that we really are family. We talk about you sail with us, you're part of the AMA family, and we do have a sense of humor in our family. So, oh shoot, I don't have that slide. It was a picture of the captain and by the elevator. Anyway, sorry. Anyway. Okay, let's talk about cabins for just a quick minute or two. We have a cabin category called a fixed window. Now, a fixed window is just that. It's a window that doesn't open. On a river cruise ship, there is no such thing as an inside cabin. Every cabin is outside. What you see on the right side, ignore the one on the left. On the right side, you see a French balcony. French balcony opens completely out onto the river, so you have the fresh air, you have the beautiful scenery. Actually, the French balcony was invented by Rudy, our owner architect. It was the signature cabin for many, many years. But what happened in 2010 is the folks that regulate the locks told Rudy he could make longer ships. So they gave Rudy 80 feet, and he only added 6 cabins. So we went from vessels that are 148 passengers to vessels that are 156 passengers. That's when some others went from 148 to 192. So the new signature design since 2010, Rudy calls a twin balcony because it really does have the 2 balconies. The French balcony on the right and the step-out balcony on the left. The reason for only 156 passengers is that the space needed to do this cabin configuration, as you see right here, is 210 to 235 square feet. So that's why we're only 156 passengers. We now have 6 vessels that have connecting cabins, great for multi-generation or traveling with a senior parent. We have triple cabins that will accommodate a 3rd person, and we have suites that will accommodate a family of 4. Behind the wooden screen here is a full bedroom, and then you have a queen-size fold-out bed here. We do occasionally have families on board. They tend to be very well-traveled and well-behaved children, and they're also being watched by every grandparent on the ship. I have never seen an issue, and typically when I sail, I've never seen more than 1 family on board. Vacation time, and of course, sometimes Christmas markets. If you have a loved one or a friend or family that works in the medical field and have worked through this insane time, we are offering a free cruise to that medical hero. That means if you're nurses, doctors, pharmacists, lab technicians, EMTs, all of these people are eligible for a free AMA cruise as long as they have a paying companion in the cabin with them. Please, if you know anybody that fits this this category, reach out to Sherrie and Charlie and their staff and take advantage of this. I think at one point I heard we were over 3,000 applications to do this. So it's just AMA love all the way. So this is what's going on right now on the AMA Christina. We have all the categories. You can see they're wearing the masks here. You're going to see a reception desk that is a plexiglass thing. We've always had the hand sanitizing stations at the dining areas. Now they're all over the ship. And we even took the main lounge, and between seating areas, we have added a plexiglass divider. So our seating areas are like a living room sofa with armchairs around, so they're now separated by the partition here. So are we ready to talk Christmas markets? I can see Sherrie smiling. You just can't help it. Christmas markets are indeed magical. I got hooked all those years ago. The Christmas markets are a local tradition. And actually this tradition goes back 700 to 900 years. They don't decorate a tree here and there in Europe. They don't decorate the inside of a store in Europe. They decorate entire cities. This one happens to be the main market in the city of Vienna, and every single street in Vienna has different decorations. One street is huge chandeliers as far as you can see. The next street over is waterfall lights. The next street over is these huge red ornament lights. It's just a magical time. You don't have to travel over Christmas. The Christmas markets typically open based on Advent, about the 24th or 25th of November. But in this case, Vienna, last year opened on the 15th of Vienna, and fabulous Budapest opened on the 9th. So consider going on a December 1st or a Thanksgiving weekend sailing and doing every bit of your Christmas shopping here and bringing it all home and be ready for the entire Christmas season. Now, it's a local thing in that everybody comes out afternoons and evenings, all the locals. They're standing in front of these market stalls. You're going to smell those sausages roasting, the nuts roasting. The street food at the markets is absolutely fabulous. You've got the local handicrafts. Dresden, which is where Christine is from, has the oldest Christmas market in the world. It even got a Ferris wheel there. And there, of course, is our fabulous Christine Karst, one of the three owners, with her mother, with her daughter, and with her nephew. And these little mugs right here, well, we'll come back to those, but you're going to like that story. And Gary Murphy, the other owner, is here with his wife and his two daughters. I love this picture because it tells you how we decorate inside the ships, how typically we're going to do the Christmas caroling. We're just crazy decorated everywhere, but my favorite picture is this one on the right. Obviously, this is a multi-generation group. It looks like, and they all bought the little Austrian hats for the kids. So I think what you have here is 4 little boys and a little girl. Now, this was from at least 3 or 4 years ago. And I can tell you right now, if you asked one of those kids about this experience with their parents or their grandparents, they would regale you with the stories, and they will remember it for the rest of their lives. So again, think about traveling with your kids, your grandkids. There's another picture. Beautiful ornaments in these markets. These are felt, and these are glass ornaments, and you buy the most wonderful hats. Can't talk about river cruising without talking about food. AMA is a member of the oldest gastronomic society in the world called Chandrotasseur, which means all of our food has to be locally sourced. Nothing can be frozen. We will have, that's not a turkey, that's a Christmas goose, because that's what they do in Europe. They have the goose, the German Stollen. We think our fruit bread's good. You wouldn't believe what a German Stollen is like. Absolutely fabulous. Does have the fruits inside. Slice a piece of that, put it under the broiler with some fresh butter in the next morning, and it's amazing. You've got the Black Forest or the Sachertorte. You've got the Glühwein. And did I mention sausages? Yes. Here's just huge, huge street food here. So, and just fabulous. There's one market stall in Budapest that is all dried fruit and cinnamon and cloves, and they're gathered together in these hanging groups, and you can smell that stall 3 stalls away. So let's talk a little bit about the 2 different rivers that we're on for Christmas markets. The Danube, Budapest. Now, Charlie and Sherrie remember Budapest very fondly. It's a fabulous city. It's all these government buildings, these houses of parliaments, these castles over the river, and they're all lighted at night. So, and what's so wonderful about the Christmas markets is they light everywhere, and the lights stay on long past Christmas, past New Year's, because they celebrate the Feast of the Epiphany, which is the 6th of January. So even on Christmas market or New Year's Eve cruise, I'm sorry, I have a puppy. Cashel, cool it. Sorry, she's only 17 weeks old. This is not going well. Talked about Vienna here. Here's another ground level picture of that fabulous market. Look at all these goods that are hanging in these market windows. Salzburg, we offer you a full day or a half-day excursion included, not at an extra cost. Take the full day. You're going to drive over the Austrian hills. You're going to spend a full day in the beautiful city of Salzburg, Austria, home of Sound of Music, and a fabulous cathedral. Actually, this is taken from the roof of the cathedral, looking down on the square here with the market, but it's just one of those beautiful cathedrals. Passau, the confluence of 3 different rivers. This is where Sherrie got her hat, I believe. Yes, we always have to contribute to the local economy, don't we? Do not freak out at the sight of the snow, please. I've done it 7 times. I've only seen snow once, but I have to tell you, as beautiful as Vienna is, when it's dusted with snow, and when the carriage horses are having little neoprene ear covers on, it's just absolutely amazing. I did get a little bit of snow last year. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, little bit. Squeaky toys are not for now. Sorry. This is Regensburg. This is actually my favorite market in all of Europe. Now, Regensburg is a fabulous medieval town with a beautiful cathedral and a great hat shop. We'll talk about my hat later. And they have 2 markets. They have a market down in the city square, but above the city of Regensburg is a family-owned palace. This palace turns its grounds over to the town at the Christmas season. So it is in this courtyard, the pathway lining up to get to the castle, the palace has torches. There's an outdoor bread oven here. There's a blacksmith operating. The hat shop is here. It's just straight out of medieval times. This is my #1 market in all the world, Regensburg. Here we go back to the ornaments, but what's that in their hands? Remember, we talked about the mugs? Yes, well, guess what? All the markets serve this hot mulled wine, or hot cider, or hot chocolate, or punch, and each market has their own mug. You've got to bring 2 or 3 of them home, because every year thereafter, when you pull out one of those Christmas market mugs, the memories will just flow back. Just absolutely fabulous. I'll give you a hint later how to get those home. Christine, our owner's helpful hints is carry cash, because now the larger market stalls do take credit cards, but some of the smaller family-owned ones would want cash in the local currencies. There's ATMs around. Buy the local handicrafts like the German nutcrackers, the prune people in Nuremberg, the German smokers. And as I said, connecting staterooms for families would be absolutely fabulous. Let's talk about the Rhine. This is what Charlie and Sherrie did last year. Amsterdam. Now, Amsterdam is a great city. Not much of a Christmas market. You know, that's not what they're known for. But they do this lighting and these canals, which go everywhere. You cannot move 2 blocks without running into a canal in Amsterdam and being run over by a bicycle. But these lights that they put up here are reflected in the canals, which really, again, is that magical feel. Cologne, Cologne. That cathedral is probably one of the most fabulous cathedrals in all the world. In front of that cathedral is a huge plaza. At Christmas time, that plaza is filled with market stalls. Every one of those little red tarps is the roof of a market stall. Absolutely fabulous World War II history here, as well as medieval history. Heidelberg. Oh, Heidelberg is one of these storybook cities, has a huge castle on the hill overlooking at it. They put a big German pyramid here. You know, this is when you get the smaller version in your house, you light the candles, and then these little fans above make the pyramid turn, and it's a nativity scene. But again, beautiful market stalls here. Strasbourg. Now, when you're on the Rhine, you're not doing just Germany, you're also doing France, because Strasbourg, this area, the Alsace region, borders Germany, France, and Switzerland. So this has a medieval market here, and one section, they have this thing about teddy bears. They have these giant stuffed teddy bears, and they're literally perched on the balconies or hanging from the edge of the roof. It's just so adorable. And Basel, Switzerland is a fabulous city, has a delightful market right there in the middle of the Old Town Square. Don't miss, this is Gary's hint, Gregenbach. Gregenbach is in the Black Forest, and that city hall actually is the world's largest advent calendar, because every window is a weekend advent. So absolutely, it's a lot bigger than taking the little piece of chocolate out every day. Gary is going to give you that helpful hint about those mugs. Definitely bring home a couple of the mugs. He says get good, thick walking shoes. I disagree with his take the scarf and the hat, because I want you to buy that scarf and that hat in the very first market and wear it the rest of the week. And then for the rest of the time you exist, every time you pull out that hat, right, Sherrie? The memories are going to come flooding back, and it does help to have extra space or an extra bag that is a duffel bag that you can pull out and send a second bag home. The Glühwein is a fabulous hot mulled wine. It's got oranges, spice, cinnamons, but like I say, they will also have the hot chocolate or the punch or the cider if you're not into a hot mulled wine. But walk around the market with this mug in your hand, with this big scarf and a hat on your head, and dress in layers, and it's just going to be fabulous. Speaking of Glühwein, this is a Heidelberg family stall. They're pulling the Glühwein out of the pots, and there are that year's Christmas market mugs. So imagine the smell as you walk by these market stalls, but I've got a better one than that. I've got a better one. There we go. I said sausages. Did I say sausages? Now here's the dude with the sausages. Look at that smoke coming up around. There's that big scarf. There's that hat. And just imagine being able to walk through a market with the Glühwein in one hand and the sausage roll in the other. We don't need that one. There are Thanksgiving and Christmas sailings. The markets are usually open at Thanksgiving time. We just have extended this triple savings offer, which right now is $1,000 off per person. And this would count towards next year's Christmas markets, and a stateroom upgrade and an onboard credit. That is available for booking right now all the way through the end of this year. To book with AmaWaterways requires a $400 per person deposit, and then absolutely nothing else due until 90 days from the sailing. So say you wanted to get your space on December 1 of next year, $400, and then nothing else due until what? October of next year. So you're not risking a lot by doing that. Christmas markets on the Danube, we've got the Magna, we've got Iconic. There's 4 different itineraries. There'll be a 5th next year. Pre and post. Now, AMA's wonderful about that, because we not only give you an option of a land extension, but we send the cruise manager with you. That's a huge thing. For instance, our pre or post package on the Danube is 3 nights in Prague. The first night I did Prague, the first time I went to Prague, I was traveling solo. I checked into that hotel. It was at the front end. So I was starting in Prague, did not know a single person that was going to be on that ship. There's the cruise manager with a desk in the lobby of the hotel, doing a meet and greet that first night with a champagne cocktail, telling us what's going to happen the 3 days in Prague, transferring to the ship with us, and staying through the 7-night cruise with us. Absolutely fabulous. I almost make people promise that if they're going to do the Danube, they will add the 3 nights in Prague. That's my favorite city in the entire world. It's magical any time of year, but look at it at Christmas time. Budapest, wonderful city. You can extend a couple nights there, and you could come through the Munich airport and experience that as well. So again, cruise manager on the whole thing. Christmas markets on the Rhine. You've got 3 different itineraries. This new one right here is just coming on for next year. Now, one of the extensions on one end is Amsterdam, an extra few nights, absolutely delightful. At the other end, the Basel, Switzerland, that extension is 2 nights in Lucerne and 2 nights in Zurich. But our new itinerary premiering next year, called Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps, has a land extension in Lake Como in Italy. And we are hugely excited about that. I mean, I'm going to be tapping on the door to do that one for sure. My helpful hints is get a roll of bubble wrap, cut it, sheets the size of the bottom of your suitcase, and then throw in a roll of duct tape. You can get anything home. You can get those mugs home. You can get those glass ornaments home. It's absolutely fabulous. If you really want to get on the sailing you want, I would go ahead and put a deposit down and remember to pack that duct tape and bubble wrap. Here's another thing. Look at the ornaments here. But this is obviously in Nuremberg. Nuremberg, they do these little houses. How about adding one of those to your Christmas decorations each year? Just bring one of those little Nuremberg houses home. And we do have some fly-free sailings. If you're interested in those, you reach out to Sherrie and Charlie. I do have a special offer for everybody that was on this or will watch it recorded, and that is I can offer a $100 per person discount if something is deposited within 2 weeks of this event. So say by the middle of October, you decide what you want to sail on, you put the $400 deposit down, we'll credit a $100 per person discount. Now we're also doing something very special by the month. So this is the very last day of this offer. This offer is literally 4 different itineraries on specific dates that are 2 for 1. Now, it doesn't have to be booked by midnight tonight. It'll have to be booked or deposited within 2 weeks of this event, so mid-October. So you've got April 1st in Bordeaux. You've got April 11th on the Danube. You've got April 20th on Tulip Time. Anybody know what Tulip Time is? Anybody heard of Kuchenhof Gardens, where they plant 7 million bulbs every year? Well, and then in 2022, there's going to be the largest horticultural show in the world that only happens every 10 years, which is Floriade. But this one is for Tulip Time, April 20th. And then that Lake Como itinerary, Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps, is available 2 for 1 on May 8th. So my quotes, I always have to throw in because I really think these speak to us all. It's from Buddha. The trouble is you think you have time. Oh, sure, you're always going to feel this good. Sure, you're going to be able to travel anywhere you want, anytime you want. You're going to be able to take your kids, your friends, your families. You can always make more money. You can't always make more memories. And right now I'm kicking myself. I had a group go to Portugal 3 years ago, and I did the usual, oh, I can't take that much time off. I don't want to spend that money right now. Boy, do I regret that one. It's never going to happen again after this experience. Mr. Carson said it best when he said the business of life is the acquisition of memories. And nothing makes memories better than travel. Travel with your kids, travel with your grandkids. what is it? Charlie has a great story about a family. What was it, Charlie? It wasn't the one with the toilet in the bathroom. I'll think of it. Anyway, the story continues with AMA Waterways. Think about being on one of our ships on New Year's Eve to kiss this year goodbye. So, did I go too long?
No, you did perfectly, and this was wonderful, Kathy. It just brought back so many memories for both of us, I know. One thing I do want to mention and tell everybody that we have got a number of sailings with AMA Waterways coming up in 2021 that I can get you a complete list of the departures if you would like. That we have $300 in onboard credit per stateroom on a number of these sailings. And when I tell you there's a number of them, there's a lot of them, I can tell you, that we've got this on. Both the Rhine and the Danube rivers, that we would love to have you sail on one of these sailings, just so that you would have the extra shipboard credit to spend however you want to. You can let it be for your gratuities. I don't even know what all you can spend it on, Kathy. There's other things, I'm sure.
Oh, there's that jewelry. It's called,
oh yeah.
it's handmade German jewelry. Very dangerous.
This is true. This is true.
I think something that is important to mention is that the $300 onboard credit that Sherrie mentioned is in addition to all the things that Kathy told us about that are being offered by AMA Waterways. The $300 onboard credit is our way of saying thank you for booking with us and trusting us to make sure you have the best vacation that you ever had. That's our goal every time we do anything for you. And we have a good track record of being successful, and we want to help you have that next great vacation. And I have to tell you that I'm pumped up enough about Christmas market that even though we have a trip in is it October, that you might be seen as a bit of a conflict. If we could go to Christmas markets this year, I'd probably want to book it for sure. I want to go in 21. Come on, go with us.
Well, we just really thank you, Kathy, for being here today. I have to tell you, when you were talking about the mugs for the glue line, well, Charlie didn't buy one. He bought two at every single market. And at one of them, he bought four because there were two different kinds. And I think it's really interesting with glue vine because you buy the mug at the first stall that you come to, and you pay for the mug, and it's filled with glue vine. And then you take it to other stalls, and all you pay for is to have it filled at that point. So he would just kind of go from stall to stall to stall.
And in several markets, we give you the coupon
Ooh.
for the mug in your first cup of glue vine.
Well, and one thing I love about AMA that you do also is in Regensburg. I love going to that sausage market in Regensburg. That is just, or sausage restaurant. That is just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
How old is that restaurant, Kathy?
Well, it was built when they were building that stone bridge, which was the first stone bridge over the Danube. So I don't know how many hundreds of years. There was no place for the workers to eat. So they built this little stone sausage kitchen on the banks of the river. And it's the oldest sausage kitchen in the world. And the best sausages are found in Regensburg.
I know it's 500 years old. It may be older than that.
It might be
700, yeah. I was thinking it was 700 years old. And it is truly a unique dining experience. And even if you have traveled to every corner of the earth, I'll promise you that having sausages and sauerkraut and bread. I'm not talking about this mushy crap that you buy at Kroger that you can wad up into a ball and throw at somebody. I'm talking about bread. You drive a nail with the bread. And my biggest failing in traveling to Europe is that I love bread and I love desserts. And Spanky, I got to tell you, you're in a worse place in the world, or the best, depending on what you want to look at. It is the most fabulous dining experience. Kathy, my mouth was watering when she was showing all the food experiences on the Christmas markets. And we didn't talk about the potato pancakes, the Kartoffelkuchen, and
the applesauce.
And homemade applesauce, fresh applesauce, and on and on and on, and more varieties of roasted sausages than I knew even existed. And Sherrie commented that I got 2 cups. Now I only filled up 1 cup. You don't have to be a two-fisted drinker, but the thing that was remarkable to me and interesting was that there was a difference in the Glühwein, the mulled wine, in every place we went. Mm-hmm. And I liked it enough that I came home, and for the holidays last year, when we had our staff over for our holiday gathering, I made, it was easily a gallon, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Maybe more than that, but I made a huge crock pot full of Glühwein, and by the end of the evening, it was all gone. So we have a rather good-sized family that can have as many as 28 or 29 people that attend over the holidays, and I decided that I would repeat the Glühwein experience for that gathering. And Sherrie's caution was, well, don't make so much. It may not go over as well as it. So I thought, well, somebody will drink it. And so I made another 2 gallons, and by the end of the night, it was all gone. I can't even tell you why I'm so excited about the prospect of going to another Christmas market. But if you need something to look forward to give you a focus, a goal, book a Christmas market, because unless you don't have a single wonder and amazement bone left in your body, you're going to be just in love and enthralled with it when you go.
I met one couple a few years ago on a sailing that every other year, that's what they give each other for Christmas, to go on a Christmas market cruise.
That's a great idea.
Isn't it great? I can see it happening right now. And Charlie, don't forget, we have our own pastry chef on every one of our ships. That's my downfall. I right now have a lovely little can of Nuremberg sausages, and I can't bring myself to open it because I can't find the bread to go with it.
We do have a question. What's the policy if guests book a cruise and then there's a travel interruption and they're not able to get to Europe? Not that the ships aren't sailing, because you're sailing now, but we have this silliness going on with embargo on travel from the United States to Europe. So if that comes up again, what's AMA's policy on that kind of eventuality?
Well, we did that a few years ago. There was this thing called the ash cloud when the volcano erupted, and people couldn't get there or they couldn't leave, and we accommodated everybody just fine. What we have done in this circumstance, which is ongoing, I hope not for much longer, we have just moved everyone to another sailing at their preference, but we've provided that other sailing at plus 15%. So instead of just taking your 100% of what you paid for this year's tulip time and moving it to next year's tulip time, you have a 15% credit above that 100%, 115%, what we call a future cruise credit.
That's fantastic.
And we've stuck by it all the way from day one.
Well-
Rudy had in his mind, and actually what started it was that ash cloud. Must have been 5 or 6 years ago. I don't even remember, when people couldn't get there. Then we had a lot of terrorist issues. Remember the year of France was just off the grid and everybody decided to go to Portugal and Prague. The next thing was 2018, which was low water issues. So Rudy, somewhere along there, decided that we needed to survive, be able to survive an entire season without ever sailing. God knows we never thought it would happen. But that's why we're where we are right now. And we are fine. We have every single one of the reps is still employed. And y'all are in the industry, you know, yeah.
Well, guys, this has been fun. It's putting me in the Christmas spirit, and it's really hard right now to even think of the fact that we may not be able to be with our families this year at Christmas because of COVID. It's heartbreaking because our family is so close. And just to go back and look at our pictures of Christmas markets has just warmed my heart, and now I want to go again. So Kathy, again, thank you for being here today. Thank you guys for attending. I will be putting this up on YouTube this afternoon as soon as we get it downloaded. But thanks everybody for being here. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'm a love.
I'm a love, you bet.
Thank you.
Bye.